Hey everyone, in this video we're going to be looking at the best practices related to GraphQL. These range from a kind of a variety of topics, but we've got things like versioning, HTTP, pagination, caching, and so on. And keep in mind these are best practices, they're not laws. And so that means it may make sense for you to stray from these best practices from time to time. That could be the right thing to do. At the same time, you'll at least want to become familiar with the best practices. They are called best practices for a reason. So before we jump into it, thanks so much for spending some time with me today. If you enjoy what you see, a like, a subscribe would be appreciated, of course. So the first one that we're going to talk about today is HTTP. And it's the way that GraphQL works by default is that you have only one HTTP endpoint that services all your requests. And so unlike REST, which is another transfer protocol, and it has an arbitrarily large number of endpoints to keep track of, GraphQL only requires one API endpoint to serve all of the possible queries. So you can physically do multiple GraphQL endpoints on the same server if you want to, but it would complicate things quite a bit, and so you'd need to sort of like take a look and see, is there like a scalability need to have multiple endpoints? And if not, that's the one that comes to mind, like why I would say you might need multiple. For the most part, it's sufficient to have one. And having only one is kind of what is a big part of the secret sauce of like what makes GraphQL so like straightforward to develop with. So anyways, this is, and the reason is that this is a kind of a massive feature for developing client applications. You can make any combination of requests to an arbitrary combination of backends without having to think about which request goes to which server in the backend, for example. All the documentation is in one place, and you can specify fields, and that's all there is. All the authentication and authorization is taken care of for any of your backends that you're dealing with, sort of in that GraphQL server. And so like if someone is authenticated to make requests there, they have access to all of the other backends as well. So the ease and consumption of these requests, any of these requests that you can make, comes at the cost of the initial development having a significantly higher cognitive load than if your front end is directly calling the back end and forming an individual request in your web app. But once your teams and your applications get to a certain size, the trade-off is a no-brainer investment for the team as a whole to invest in sort of a like singular server that sort of handles and dispatches requests to other backends and so on. So the next best practice is related to the JSON format, and nearly all of your requests will be handled that way. It isn't required, but like I said, it's a natural thing for you and your team to use, since a JSON API response dovetails easily with passing data through a front-end application. In several years of doing GraphQL development myself, not like full-time, but I have done a lot of GraphQL over the last few years, and I've never used something other than JSON. It is simply worth noting that you could use something else. But like I said, JSON is very straightforward. You've probably worked with it a lot. I've worked with it a lot. Everyone on your team has probably worked with it a lot. So that makes it, kind of easier to use than something else. And that's why it's sort of the default for GraphQL. The third best practice is related to versioning, or to be more specific, not versioning. And and in contrast to the typical API schemes where there's little control to the range of what data can be requested and returned, GraphQL already returns, or it doesn't return anything that isn't explicitly requested. And so this means that there doesn't have to be breaking changes or API versioning between different iterations of API fields. And so they can sort of be added individually and removed individually as sort of the business or the product progresses. or as just your needs sort of change over time. There isn't a version of the API per se. And that makes it much easier to maintain by larger teams over longer periods of time than REST, which would have like a V1 that's from this era and a V2 that's from this era and perhaps a V3 from another era. The fourth best practice revolves around the concept of nullability. And this means that although you can say that a given field is required, it has to be specified for you explicitly. So with that being the case, this means that for fields that you don't say are explicitly required, there's a lot more fault tolerance if there are database errors or something else in the back end that's malfunctioning. This allows better error handling or silent error handling if you choose to be your default case, and the GraphQL server won't blow up or the request won't fail or cause cascading issues for the client. Missing fields will just come back as null, and everything will sort of progress as, perhaps with a missing value, but it won't be just totally devastating to the request response cycle. All right, so that was a lot for this video, but we made it through. Great job. I hope you found it thoughtful and helpful and enough. Hopefully you liked it enough to like and subscribe, but I'll see you all in the next one.